Today I just want to talk about starting out and the excitement of starting out as well. Not just photography, but any new discipline that you decide to give everything to and wrap your personality up in that niche. It's very exciting, and a big part of finding your identity in discovering something new, like photography as well, is the camera that you use. And you see all, especially at the moment, you see a lot of people, they've sort of made a name for themselves, and then it's all about one particular brand. And yeah, I can understand why everyone aspires to have one of those cameras. And I personally would like to have one myself one day when the time's right and it makes the most sense. But that's more for a different episode. But at the moment, I want to talk about starting out and getting the best you can within your means. And what I mean by that is, film photography is a pretty expensive hobby to invest in. You can buy reasonably cheap cameras to start out with, but soon you're going to want to upgrade. It's just the nature of it. But the film itself, it adds up very quickly. So I predominantly shoot black and white, so it's not crazy expensive, but it still adds up, in saying that, if I haven't started developing and scanning myself yet, which is something I will start doing in the next couple of months. I've just been lazy with it, to be quite honest, and it's another aspect of dabbling. So I'm looking forward to diving into that component of film photography. But starting out, you want to bite off too much, and it's perfectly reasonable getting film developed and scanned from a lab. I do it, and many other people do it as well. The main reason I want to start doing it myself is just to experiment and have the opportunity to shoot more film and save a bit more money. Where I'm going with this is the film alone is very expensive. To buy a digital camera to start out with, though, to get anything that you're going to enjoy shooting, you're going to spend north of $1,000. It's going to be pretty hard to find anything under that's going to be rewarding to shoot, that you're going to be happy carrying around and give you good results. I'm saying camera and lens. You can buy bodies under that. I've bought my Nikons under that, and they're not for everyone. They're really big cameras. I have very large palms. My fingers are normal size, but they're very comfortable in my hand, and I've shot them forever. So they are a reasonably priced camera to start if you're going down digital path. But if you're going down film, there's going to be cameras there that are just seem unfathomable in price. But then you start to justify it in your head. You're like, oh yeah, but it holds its value, rah rah rah. And the most important thing really is the images you get out of that camera. And you can get really good images out of a camera that's $200. You can get really good images out of a camera that's $10,000 as well. But the shooting experience is where it's going to differ as well, and how much you like using that camera. My dog Bart is outside and he's getting a bit upset, so it is what it is. Sorry if you heard that. How it feels to use that camera is where that price difference will really start to step in, and how much you're likely to pick up that camera, depending on how it feels in the hand. So you have to find something that's a happy medium. One really good thing about film photography though is most cameras you get are going to be all analog, especially if they're manual cameras, so you can control the shutter speed and aperture and the advanced lever. They all have a very tactile feel to it. And this was my first manual film camera. I had point and shoots when I was a kid, but this was my first manual film camera. It's an Olympus 35UC. It's got a 42mm lens on it, 1.7 rangefinder, and it does everything I need it to. And honestly, it is probably the perfect camera for every situation. Like, it just, as far as covers everything. That focal length is really amazing. It just has this look that I know it's hard to put into words, and the way this lens renders is just incredible for how cheap it is. But the usability of this camera is where it lacks a little bit. That's its main downside. Is, you know, the focus throw on this is really nice. My one in particular, the lens, the aperture ring and the shutter ring are slightly damaged. So I don't know if you can see that they're loose. So, but you could get it serviced. But my point is, you know, this shit's going to happen with old cameras. I just haven't fixed it myself. And but even when it was working fine, like the clicks on they're fine, but then it's not the greatest feedback. And same as clicking with the ring, the shutter ring. The shutter button again is fine, and the advanced lever is fine. It's still fun to use. If you're not doing anything in like a professional sense, it's the perfect camera. If you're just picking this up to take, you know, shots of your life, it doesn't get much better for the price. I think when I got mine, it was around $300, and they're probably sitting around similar price, depending on the quality. And I've taken, unintentionally, my favorite photos I've ever taken are all taken with this camera. There's photos of my wife and my daughter that I've taken, there's street photos I've taken, and then there's just general photos I've taken, or, you know, just out and about documenting my life. And all of those photos I took that are mentioned, I wasn't taking them with the mindset of like, oh, this is going to be an incredible photo, or like, I can't, you know, I'm like, oh, I think I got something great, like, and I can't wait to get that developed. I just take the photo and think nothing of it. And I think part of that is due to the ergonomics and like how this camera feels to use. It doesn't feel like something can generate that great a photo, but it does. It's an amazing camera, and I can't stress enough, it does everything I need it to. The only quarrel I have is the quality of the camera itself. It's fine. It's not amazing, it's fine. But the images that come out of it are unbelievable. Like, I can't falter them. And it's a fully mechanical camera. This does have a light meter in it, but I've never used it. I don't know why. I just couldn't find the battery, I think, in any convenient spot, and then I just chose not to use it and started with a light meter on my phone, and then bought this Dumo light meter, and that's just sat on there since I got it. But yeah, it's just an incredible little camera, and it's a reminder that you don't need to have the most expensive gear to take incredible photos and important photos for yourself. I think that's the other thing to be said. Another point I want to say is that the photos I take with this, like, they just have a lot more weight to them for me. And while it doesn't get used much anymore because I do need to fix the ring on the lens, and the viewfinder again is fine. It's a little bit small, and the rangefinder patch is pretty good considering how small the viewfinder is, but it is just a little bit small. You have to get your eye right in there, and with glasses on, like I don't really wear my glasses much when I'm shooting, but with the glasses on, it is a bit tricky. But yeah, it's a great little camera that I kind of wish everyone that gets into photography just starts with, because it's just so fun to use, but fine on the quality side of things. If you like, when I use my f3, that just feels like a completely different camera. Like the quality of that's just on the next level. And then, you know, holding Leicas and using Leicas, they're also just on the next level. It's like, you know, this is a great little, how would I say this? This is a good little Golf GTI, like maybe from, you know, Mark 6, late 2000s. It does everything it needs to, but there's going to be way faster cars you can get. And, you know, if you get a 911 GT3, that's the mecca of cars. But how much car do you actually need? And how much can you actually afford too, really? So, yeah, if you're looking to get into film photography, or just photography in general, this camera I can't recommend enough. I must say the reason why this lens is a bit damaged is because I didn't take good care of it as well. I threw it just in a regular bag a few times when I was at work, and then I'd throw my bag in the locker. And I think once I just threw it in and I forgot my camera was in there, and then I noticed that the next time I went to shoot with it, which was that night when I finished work, I picked it, I'm like, oh, it's a bit loose, and then I used it a couple more times and the rings got looser. So I will get it fixed because it's a great little camera, and it was my first film camera, manual film camera, and my wife got it for me for my 30th birthday. My wife got it for me for my 30th birthday, so thank you, Haley. I do love it. And yeah, I've had it for nearly 5 years now, and yeah, it's just a sick little camera. So in saying that, I had an OM1 that was given to me from a customer. I think I said that in the last episode. And that too, also just the lenses on those old Olympus cameras are just crazy sharp. I had a 50 on that. I can't remember what the aperture was on it. I think it was maybe a 1.8. And then a friend of mine had Olympus cameras and lent me his 24, and then just the images that came out of that as well were amazing. And you can pick that up for, like, that's an interchangeable camera, like interchangeable lens. And you can pick them up for, I don't know, maybe 200 Australian dollars, maybe a bit, give or take. Last time I looked, they were around that. That was probably a year ago, but I don't think they're going to be too much more expensive. And they're just great little cameras, and they really do everything you need. And then when you start looking at other cameras, you realize the quality of this is fine. But it's still fucking great. And for that, I love it, and I'd highly recommend it. So one major thing that I didn't really muck around with this, which I do a lot more with my f3, which gave me confidence with my f3, is shooting in like low light situations and having a slow shutter. Because this shutter, the trigger is quite heavy, it shakes the camera when you pull the trigger, activate the shutter, and I just always steer clear of it because I could feel it when I'd shoot, like just in daylight. I'm like, oh, that feels a bit heavy, and I just never bothered shooting much at night time with it. Whereas I experiment much more now with my f3 because it's got a very light shutter. So I don't know, when I get this fixed, maybe I will experiment with it more at night. But yeah, it's just a good little camera that doesn't get enough love. So anyway, that's all for today. Hope you go and buy one, really.